Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? I hope you're all well. Now, before we kick off with this webinar session, if anybody's having any sort of technical challenges in viewing this session at all, what I'd highly recommend is to go through the usual kind of troubleshooting that we all tend to go through if something doesn't work for us first time around. So if you are tuning in on a desktop or a laptop computer, feel free just to hit the refresh button on your web browser page now, and hopefully everything should be working for you. Alternatively, if you are tuning in through a mobile device, feel free to close down your YouTube app and then click back on the link that you received for this session. Hopefully everything will load correctly for you within the YouTube app once you kind of open it back up again. One thing to note with this training session is that live captioning is available throughout the course of this session. So if you hover over onto this YouTube video, you'll see that there is an icon that will appear, which has the letter CC inside of a small kind of square or kind of rectangular box. That is the icon for you to toggle captioning on or off throughout the course of this video. So feel free to kind of use that if you wish to do so. Also, feel free to grab yourself a pen and a paper, just so you can kind of jot down notes as we progress along. Okay, I hope everyone's set. So welcome to this Google Digital Garage webinar session, all about how to build your personal brand online. My name is Rikesh. I'm going to be your presenter taking through the course of this session, which is going to last for approximately 60 minutes. So I'll kick off first with a little bit about me. So I am a trainer for Google's digital skills program, Google Digital Garage. As well as that, I'm also a digital marketer. So what that means is I work with businesses to help them to create and to grow an online presence in order to attract more customers and clients to their business offering. Now, a large part of getting people attracted to your business offering is making sure that you are portraying yourself online in the correct light that you want to be seen in, really. And that all comes down to branding. And that's what we're going to be exploring in the course of this webinar session. This might also apply to those of you who are maybe looking rather than kind of down the business route, but might also be considering kind of thinking about, well, how can I brand myself as somebody who can maybe get a job within a particular industry as well. So there's kind of two different kind of planes of kind of thinking when it comes to branding, and we'll kind of be exploring and touching upon both of them throughout the course of this session. So that's just a little bit about me. I'd also like to introduce to you at this stage my colleague and fellow Google Digital Garage trainer, and that is Tessa. Now, Tessa is going to be our chat moderator today. So whilst you won't see Tessa on screen, you will see Tessa appear in the live chat, which is located somewhere on the right-hand side of your YouTube page as you're looking at this right now. Now, the live chat is your space over the course of this next hour to drop in your comments, drop in your questions that you might have, and a combination of myself and or Tessa will be able to provide our thoughts in terms of some of the comments and questions that do come in. Now, some of you have already been getting involved and just kind of mentioning your hellos and where you're tuning in from. So we've got Ramesa, who is tuning in from Morocco, so welcome to you. And we've also got the Long Ranger, who is tuning in from Slovak Republic as well. So thank you very much for kind of tuning into this webinar session, and I really hope that you find this session of use and value kind of going forward for you, and you can look to kind of implement what we're going to be discussing in the course of this webinar session. Now, this session that we're running on Build Your Personal Brand Online is one of many webinars that we actually run as part of a wider Google Digital Garage webinar offering. So if you have a look down below me where I'm pointing, you'll see that there is a video description box. Contained within one of the paragraphs in that video description box is a link. And that link will take you directly through to the Google Digital Garage website, where you are able to sign up for more webinars just like these, but on a variety of other typically digital marketing related topics. And they are available for you to attend at no charge, just like this webinar session is available for you to attend at no charge as well. The only thing that you need to do is just sign up, and then you'll receive the YouTube link, and then it's just tuning in on the right day and at the right time, just like you're doing right now for this session. Now, another fantastic resource as well that is available at no charge that you'll find on the Google Digital Garage website is the online courses tab. Now, on that page, you'll see a list of lots of different online courses that you can complete in your own time at your own pace, and they're available at no charge. And a lot of these online courses that you'll find on the website actually supplement the learning that you do on the webinar sessions as well. So they kind of dovetail really nicely together, which is rather useful. Now, you will find on the online courses page, the first course that will appear will be a course called the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing, which is one of our kind of flagship online training courses, in that it gives you kind of that holistic overview as to how businesses promote their product or service offering in the online and in the digital space, essentially. So it gives you that kind of that overview. And this is something, even if you don't plan on working in marketing, or you have somebody who's dealing with that side of things, kind of your online presence, it's just nice to kind of have that kind of that baseline knowledge in general as well. Now, as an added bonus of that course, once you've completed the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course, you actually have an added bonus in that you will actually receive a certificate at no charge from Google, recognizing that you've completed that course. So definitely check out all of those fantastic resources on the Google Digital Garage website when you do get a moment. But let's have a look at what we're covering in this session, all about how to build your personal brand online. So in this webinar session, we're first of all going to be understanding what we mean by two phrases, two terms. One of them is online presence, and the other is personal brand. So we want to kind of look at the clear distinctions, and also understand how do we actually transition from an online presence into a personal brand. So that's what we're going to be exploring first and foremost. We're then going to naturally progress on to how do we, now that we kind of know and have kind of the steps in terms of transitioning from an online presence into a personal brand, how do we then build and how do we grow our personal brand online? And then finally, to kind of round out this webinar session, we're going to be looking at how we can increase our visibility online. So now that we actually have our own personal brand in place, how do we get more attention on that brand, which can hopefully lead to opportunities, whether it be kind of from a business sense in terms of getting more interest in what you are selling, or from an individual's point of view, it might be more interest in you as a candidate for a particular for a particular job role, perhaps as well. So before we actually go into the first part of this webinar session, I want to draw your attention to this fantastic resource that you can see here on screen. And you can see the title here, which says free one-to-one mentoring available from Google. So this is Google Mentoring, which is a fantastic resource which is available, whereby you are able to have a 1 hour mentoring session with a mentor, obviously, and this is conducted virtually, as you can sort of tell by the image on screen. But this is your opportunity to have that more tailored discussion and customized discussion, and talk through any sort of digital skill support that you might require for your business. And maybe it might just be that the mentor is there as kind of a soundboard, where you are maybe throwing some ideas, and it's just nice to kind of get somebody else giving you feedback as well on some of your ideas that you might have going forward in terms of your online presence. So it might be relating to your website, it might be relating to your personal brand, like we're going to be discussing today. It might be related to social media, your social media presence perhaps as well. So definitely check out the link that you can see here on screen. I'm sure that Tessa will kindly drop a link in for Google Mentoring in the chat for you. The only requirement to sign up for Google Mentoring is what you can see here on screen, is if you work for a small business or charity in the UK. But apart from that, if you fulfill that criteria, then definitely recommend that you check out this resource and sign up, and then you're able to kind of lock in a date and a time to tune in and have a session with a mentor. Okay, so let's kick off with understanding our online presence and personal branding, kind of the clear distinctions. And let's actually look at online presence first and foremost. So your online presence is basically everything that you do online. And when I say everything, everything. And we'll go over in just a moment or so what I mean by everything that we do online. Now, before we do that, a really nice kind of phrase that I like to use, as well as kind of online presence, really like a nice phrase which kind of generally summarizes what we mean by our online presence is everything that we do online, is a phrase or kind of a term called digital footprint. Now, you may or may not have heard of that before, but your digital footprint is just kind of another way of saying your online presence. So your digital footprint is everything that you do online. But the reason why I like the phrase digital footprint and kind of like mentioning that as well as online presence is because if we take away the word digital for a moment, and if we think about when we are walking in sand or whether we're walking in snow or depending on whatever kind of the weather is where you are, to be fair, what do we leave behind us? We leave behind a trail of footprints. And that's what we're doing online. So anytime that we're posting somewhere, we're leaving a trail. Anytime that our name is associated to anything, we're leaving a trail behind as well. We're leaving that kind of breadcrumb trail behind for other people to kind of pick up on and find information about us as well. So what does make up our online presence, or what does make up our digital footprint essentially? Well, it includes all of these elements that you can see here on screen. So it includes things like your internet activity. So anything, including such as kind of what you buy online, right? And I'm sure many of you have kind of noticed that when you buy something online, a lot of the times you might start seeing adverts for similar products to what you've just purchased as well. Now, you can also see that your online presence also includes content that you have created, whether that be an article, whether that be a status update on social media, whether that be an image with a caption that you've wrote, whether it be a video that you've kind of put out there, maybe on YouTube. That is all part of your online presence. So that's kind of more from a proactive mode. But then there's also a passive mode whereby your online presence and your digital footprint is still accounted for, even though you are not really doing anything. So this can be content that you are tagged in. So if your name is tagged into articles or comments, or you are tagged into a photo, that still forms part of your digital footprint. And this is something which I had to kind of get my head around when I kind of graduated university a number of years ago now. And what I consciously did was, before I started applying, or maybe whilst I was trying to apply for graduate roles, I actually untagged myself out of less than flattering photos from my university days. And that's just because I had a little bit of kind of foresight to think, well, okay, when you send in a CV and a cover letter to an employer or recruiter, that's all that they typically see. So nowadays, in the world of kind of the internet at our fingertips, people can just Google your name, and they might be able to kind of jump onto your social media profiles and actually find out a little bit more about you. So that's just something that I consciously did as well. And that kind of brings me to, what can we do about our online presence? What can we do about this digital footprint that exists about us currently? Well, what we want to do is maybe just have a bit of a spring clean. It's coming up to spring right now, so it kind of makes sense as well to kind of go hand in hand with the term spring clean as well. But we can review our privacy settings. So a lot, if not all, social media platforms these days do have a privacy settings section where you can actually really dial in and customize your privacy settings so that only certain people are actually able to see certain types of information on your profile. What you can also do is delete old posts, especially if those old posts are not reflective of who you are and not reflective of your thoughts and your values that you currently hold to this day. Especially if they're posts where you kind of go onto it and you're like, oh, that's a little bit cringe-worthy, so maybe I should get rid of that. If it evokes some level of feeling of discomfort, then that's kind of a good indicator at times for you to kind of think, maybe I can delete that one, or maybe I can hide that post so nobody else sees that perhaps as well. And also consider maybe deleting profiles that you have on various other platforms whereby you've not used them for a long period of time. So again, you're just kind of decluttering your digital footprint in general as well. Now, what you can do as well is you can scan third-party content just to see what is coming up, what is showing up for your name. And the quickest way to kind of scan third-party content is to Google yourself. So if you just type in your name, it can sort of seem daunting at the very first time of doing it. But what this does is it gives you a lot of kind of food for thought to think, right, where can I actually clean up my online presence here? What can I do? Can I make something? Can I make a profile private? What can I do so that all these third-party platforms don't have access to my type of content that I don't want sharing everywhere else, as well. Now, what you can also do is set up something known as Google Alerts, so that you can set up Google Alerts. You can do this at no charge. So if you just Google Alerts, you should be able to find the information, and you can set up Google Alerts for your name. So when somebody types in your name, you can set it in terms of frequency. So you will automatically get an email when somebody has searched your name, or you can get kind of an email on a more infrequent basis, maybe something like once a week or maybe once a month. And especially you can set up Google Alerts. So it's quite useful from a business perspective. Maybe if somebody's searching for your name in conjunction with your industry, like the name of your industry, or in relation to your company name, or in relation to a product or service that you sell, perhaps as well. So that's something to consider there as well. So just kind of cleaning up your online presence, because once we've cleaned up this online presence, we then want to start the transition over to actually building out a personal brand. So when does this online presence become a personal brand? Well, before we kind of answer that question, we want to actually identify what do we mean by a personal brand, because that will give us clarity in terms of the two distinctions between our online presence, i.e. our digital footprint, and what is this phrase known as, what is it kind of defined as when we say personal brand. So a personal brand identifies who you are and how you differentiate from your peers, right? So that's what we mean by a personal brand. You can change that word peers if you wanted to, from to something like customers, clients, or however you wish to kind of refer to basically the people that you are selling to, if you are a business perhaps as well. So that's kind of the two differences just by that very definition alone. Your personal brand is more something. So compared to your digital footprint, where people can find out about you and your information by things that you are either posting, but also in passive mode, things that you've been kind of tagged in as well. Whereas your personal brand is something which you have kind of ownership of, which you have control over in terms of what you are putting out there, because you are making that decision yourself. And that's where we want to get to. We want to transition from that online presence, from that digital footprint stage, and become a personal, and actually transition into a personal brand where we are kind of controlling kind of the narrative in terms of what people are finding out about us. And what people are finding out about us, we want to also make sure that that is authentic and true to who we are and what we represent, as either as an individual or we as kind of a business or a company in general as well. Now, it's all good and well creating an online brand, but what can that achieve for us? Well, creating an online brand, creating a personal brand can create real life opportunities. And I want to just highlight a couple here as examples. So we've got Sarah Ritchie first and foremost. So Sarah Ritchie is a fitness and wellness coach, and she's had an online presence since 2010. And she initially started off by creating vlogging videos before, I guess, vlogging is as well known as it is today. So she would kind of vlog, and within her vlog, she would kind of record kind of exercise workouts kind of showcasing the correct kind of form for carrying out certain exercises as well. And she's built up a following over a period of time. So built up a community of people who follow what she does. And through that as well, she's been able to establish real life opportunities whereby nowadays she gets fitness clothing brands to send her clothing so that she can wear those items of clothing in her workout videos, which seems a win-win because she's getting clothes, free workout clothes, but also that organization, that company that's sending it to her, they are getting exposure to Sarah Ritchie's community because they're kind of their branding and their kind of their logo will be on some of that clothing there as well. So that's something which is a real life opportunity that was born out of merely having not only kind of just having an online presence, but making sure that from Sarah Ritchie's point of view, she was controlling what kind of information she was putting out there in her kind of personal training kind of industry, kind of fitness industry there as well. Now you've also got Sheena Maui as well. So Sheena Maui is an Instagram vegan food blogger, and even with Sheena, like when she posts about either food that she makes at home or when she goes out to eat at restaurants, she will kind of tag some of these companies, but she will give authentic and honest reviews, and that's kind of led her to again build up a following of people who trust her opinions. And when she says she visits it, and when she goes to a restaurant, she says, yeah, it's great food. A lot of people will start kind of placing table reservations there shortly after as well. Now, even with Sheena Maui, like there has been a lot of real life opportunities that have been born out of it. I.e., nowadays, Sheena actually regularly gets invites to go and eat at restaurants. Especially in London, which kind of eating out might not necessarily be financially feasible for a lot of people, but she actually gets invites to go to restaurants and eat there for free in exchange for a review. However, the one thing that she does have is that she has a set of values for her brand, and in her set of values, she doesn't compromise on the fact that she will give an honest review. So if the food is terrible, she will say that in her review. If a specific dish was not to scratch, then she'll mention that as well. And she sets out those guidelines before she fully accepts that restaurant invitation there. So that's both parties are kind of on the same page there as well. So it's very important just to be aware of the fact that it's all good and well having this online presence, kind of being there in kind of the digital space and controlling what you put out there. But that's something which can lead to a tangible and real life opportunity going forward as well. So your online personal brand also matters from other aspects, as you know, as well as from kind of a business perspective that we saw earlier on. So it matters from kind of an employment aspect. So you can see that nearly 70% of employers have said that they routinely conduct social media checks just to learn a bit more about a candidate, which kind of makes sense, right? Because if you, as I kind of mentioned earlier on, if you are a recruiter or if you're an employer, all you get to see is the person's name, their CV, which is just text on a piece of paper, and you'll just get their cover letter. So to learn a bit more about a candidate or somebody who you think, oh, they might be a good fit for my organization, the natural kind of place to go nowadays is social media, where a lot of people have profiles on as well. You can also see that from kind of from a purchasing decision point of view as well. You can see that nearly 90% of consumers who are aged between 33 and 54 say that they trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations as well. And that's important to kind of note there, because nowadays, I'm sure many of us, when we're buying something through various retailers online, we will actually check the reviews. And we will kind of place a lot of reliance upon those reviews as much, if not more at times, than we would if somebody who is a friend or a family member tells you, oh, you must visit this restaurant, or oh, you must definitely buy this product. It's fantastic. So that's kind of word of mouth. But people are kind of nowadays placing more reliance or just as much reliance upon online reviews and kind of other people just kind of who have bought that product or have used this service. They're able to kind of vouch for it as well. And they do that through online reviews as well. Now, in terms of our personal brand that we're now transitioning to away from our online presence, we want to make sure that we are setting it a goal. Now, you can see here a goal gives a brand purpose, and that's why you can see that we've got an image there of a compass. We kind of want to have a focal point. Why do we have this brand that we set up? Why are we putting out this type of content, or why are we allowing for us to be tagged in certain posts and certain articles? So we want to just really evaluate this, and we want to set ourselves up with a goal, because that is a really fantastic way of setting ourselves up for success. So let's actually have a look at one industry here, which is personal training industry. So we've got kind of 3 businesses here on screen. So we want to kind of answer 2 questions. One of them is, what is the goal of these personal trainers. And the other question is, who are their target audiences? So if we kind of go from left to right here on screen, we've got Sarah Ritchie, who we met earlier on. So the Sarah Ritchie kind of fitness wellness coach, personal training kind of brand. So Sarah Ritchie predominantly just uses social media platforms like Instagram. And her kind of goal is all about satisfaction. So she's creating short, sharp, but to the point videos and reels on the likes of Instagram, where she's showcasing certain maybe circuits that people can do in the gym when they get there, or she's highlighting how to correctly perform an exercise with good form. So it might be something like the barbell squat. How do you squat down correctly, perhaps as well? And that is all tailored towards kind of satisfaction and kind of demonstrating her knowledge, her expertise, and demonstrating that in kind of a social media bite-sized format there as well. Now, in terms of Sarah's target audience, typically that target audience would be people who are in a rush. They just want a quick burst of information. They might be kind of fitness fanatics, they might be kind of bodybuilders, but that's generally essentially the target audience that Sarah is looking to reach, just by the way that Sarah Ritchie's social media presence is kind of laid out, and her brand is also kind of set up for that as well. So if we actually now move on to the one in the middle, so you've got Lean Fitness, which is another personal training company. So with Lean Fitness, in general, they're kind of, you can see here, their goal is more about quality. And the reason that their goal is more around quality is because they have a professional looking website, as you can see with the screenshot. They have customer reviews because they've got a section that says what our clients say. And also they offer more than one service. So as well as personal training, they also offer boot camps as well. So in terms of their target audience for Lean Fitness, their target audience that they've identified are going to be either groups of friends who want to maybe get together and do these boot camps that are being offered, or maybe city professionals, so people who have a very busy lifestyle and they want to make sure that they're able to kind of jump online, go to a website, click on maybe personal training and just book a training session, just do it all online. So that it's very kind of very much more kind of structured, more so than anything else there as well. So they're kind of they've got their goal of quality, and they also know their target audience as well. And then finally, you've got Justin Cooper of Justin Cooper Fitness, and their goal is more kind of leaning towards credibility. And the reason for that is because looking at the screenshot here of Justin Cooper's Fitness, kind of their online presence here, or their personal brand that they've created, as well as kind of images and kind of text that they've got relating to kind of the fitness world and how to perform certain exercises. They're also showing the more kind of human elements of their lives. So them being in personal relationships, them going out for food and dinner with family and friends. And in terms of their target audience, because they are kind of coming at this from kind of a more kind of humanizing aspect, their target audience is going to typically be people who have long-term weight goals. And these are going to be people who want to make kind of long-term lifestyle changes as well. So they want to be able to still go out and have dinner with their friends and family, but also incorporate that within a healthy lifestyle, which Justin can sort of demonstrate through his online brand that he's created there as well. So that's just a few kind of distinctions, all within kind of that same industry there as well. So in terms of kind of adding a goal from a personal perspective, it can also be useful to kind of showcase what are you really interested in and what kind of drives you. So you can see this with a kind of an example here with Fatima Allen. So on the left hand side with their LinkedIn profile, they've got Fatima Allen, regional sales manager. That's it. There's not a lot of information there at all. But then you also have the one on the right hand side, which has more information. So Fatima Allen, and then Fatima's wrote here, sales development leader, scaling global business teams to deliver high quality inbound and outbound pipeline to closers. Now, for me, that doesn't really mean a lot because I'm not from Fatima's world or kind of industry there. But for people who are maybe looking to hire someone like Fatima, that is something which is a lot of kind of technical wording and technical jargon, which might be music to their ears as well. So it's something to consider. Is not just kind of thinking about goal from a business perspective, but also from an individual perspective. Why are you setting your stall out online? Why have you got a LinkedIn profile set up? What is the reason behind that as well? You want to kind of really highlight that as much as possible. Okay, let's have a check in with any comments or questions. Okay, so just seeing a quick comment here from King Malia, who's mentioned very interesting presentation. Thank you. I hope that you're finding value and use out of this session that we're going through so far. Got a question here from Ramesa, who's mentioned, can a personal brand be solely a representation of a business, or does it always reflect the person behind it? Really interesting question there. Thank you very much for that as well, by the way. So my thoughts is that a personal brand, a lot of the times it depends on the size of the business and the scale of the business, because a business that has been established for a long period of time might have kind of whoever the face is, whoever maybe like the CEO is, they might be somebody who has just come in or has been there just for a short period of time. Whereas if you compare that to somebody who is starting off a business, they are maybe the person, they will be the person who is going to be running everything. They are the ones that go to networking events. They are the ones that are setting up the social media profiles out there for their online presence. And when they are that person, when they are kind of the founder, essentially, the founder and the actual business representation in terms of a personal brand usually go hand in hand as well. And you do get that level of authenticity, because what that founder talks about, they talk about it with passion, they talk about it with love, they talk about it with care. And that's what they will be typically feeding into their personal brand there as well. So yeah, thank you very much for that question. It's a really interesting one, just to kind of weigh it up in your mind there as well. But yeah, my thoughts is that, yeah, when it's kind of a business, especially with you or someone who is a founder of it, you have kind of more of a vested interest, so you are able to showcase more of that authenticity, and that is where you get kind of the perfect meeting between your authentic self as an individual and feeding that into your businesses, your brand essentially that you're creating as well. So thank you very much for that. If there's any further questions, pop them into the chat, and either myself and or Tessa will be able to provide our thoughts on them as we go along. So let's now move on to building our brand online. So we've actually spoken about the differences and hopefully transitioning from an online presence or our digital footprint into a personal brand. So how do we now go about building this personal brand? Well, we want to, something I touched upon at the very end of the last section was giving our brand a goal, because a brand goal has purpose as well. So we want to decide upon our goal. So what are we looking to achieve by having this brand that we've set up? You can see some examples of goals that you can see on screen. So I want to find new job opportunities. I want to find more followers. I want to find new clients. So for me, just reading that actually throws up more questions than answers, really. So I would, if I read find new job opportunities, I'd be like, well, okay, you want to find new job opportunities in what? I want to find more followers of what and why? I want to find new clients in what and why as well. So there's a lot more questions that are thrown up there. So we want to add a bit more kind of substance. Now, a really good kind of couple of sentence starters that you can use when it comes to defining your goals are the ones that you can see on screen. And feel free to jot these down and just kind of leave the blanks as blanks, because then you can fill this in later on for yourself or for you in terms of building out your business plan perhaps as well. So I want to present myself online like blank, because I want to blank as well. So this is a really useful kind of sentence that you can fill in the blanks for, and that will really give you some clarity and help you when it comes to defining and or refining your goal that you might have for your online brand as well. And the second one you can see here on the screen, which says, I will know how I have been successful when So you're kind of giving yourself kind of that point where you think, I'm on the path to success here. I might not have reached it yet, but I know I'm pretty much there because this is my sentence that I've kind of created here as well. So if we go back to those kind of those goals that we looked at just a moment ago, the more detail, the better. So we've added a little bit more substance here. So I want to find new job opportunities as a chef near Liverpool. Okay, there's a little bit more to work with here. I mean, I'd probably kind of be a little bit more granular with that and be like, well, okay, I want to find new job opportunities as a pastry chef near Liverpool. So just be a bit more kind of specific again as well. You got other examples here. Find more followers of oboe enthusiasts, or find new clients to buy your pottery aprons as well. So once we've actually created and defined what our goal is for our personal brand, we then want to move into our audience. And when I say audience, this could be our customers or potential customers, however you wish to refer to these individuals as. And we want to kind of answer the question that you can see here on screen is, who do I need to reach in order to make my goal that I've just created come true? So we really want to build out our target audience and kind of figure out as much information about them as possible, because that is going to be useful when we create content specifically as well, because we want to kind of push on their buttons and push on their kind of characteristics, which is really going to make them hopefully consume our content and make them maybe take decisions like buying our products or inquiring about a service that we have perhaps as well. So in terms of building our audience, some of the kind of the characteristics that we can kind of look to find out information on is, what's their age? What's the age range of the people that are most interested in either your business offering, or who are going to be most interested in you as a personal brand as well? Think about locality as well. Where are they based? Which social media platforms do they have an account on? So where is their online presence at in general? Or what's the likes, dislikes? What do they spend money on as well? Very, very useful. So there's a lot of questions here on screen, and kind of like, or a lot of dots on screen. But how do you actually fill in the blanks with all of these? How do you actually find out? How do you build out your target audience? So there's a lot of fantastic tools that you can use to find this information out. Now, if you are based in the UK, a really useful and good starting point is Audience Finder, which is a fantastic tool which offers free UK-based analytics, which is based on the cultural landscape in the UK. And this is really useful, especially if you're looking to run events off the back of your brand that you've created. Then Audience Finder is a really good starting point. And then the other kind of places that is a useful tool, or that are useful tools, are social media platforms. So you got with all kind of social media business profiles or pages that you have things like page insights. So with Instagram, you have the likes of Facebook page insights, you've got Instagram insights, you've got Twitter analytics, you've got YouTube analytics, you've also got people search as well with LinkedIn, especially if you're looking to kind of, if you're an individual from kind of a careers perspective looking to work in a specific industry, you've got something like people search there as well. So you can find out a lot of this information just by tools that are readily available online as well. Now, there are specialist platforms that can maybe save you a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and especially if you've got your audience and your goal already aligned, then this kind of final step in terms of identifying which platforms to have a presence on might be a lot more kind of streamlined for you. So, for example, if your goal is to meet fellow writers, your audience, who you're looking to attract, are writers who are looking to meet up. And a useful platform example in terms of where you can actually achieve this goal and audience is Meetup. So it kind of it's kind of on the nose there in terms of, it's very obvious in terms of writers looking to meet up, and it just happens to be that the app and the platform for actually achieving this goal with the audience, with the correct audience, is a tool called Meetup. Now, if your goal is to sell homemade jewelry, your audience is are going to be people who are looking to buy homemade jewelry, then Etsy is a fantastic place to sell your homemade jewelry, because that's where a lot of people do spend their time buying kind of more customized and homemade products there as well. And similarly with the likes of kind of a goal of finding building contracts, an audience that would be people who need building work, then you've got kind of building company kind of aggregator websites such as the likes of My Builder, which is a useful platform that can sort of align both the goals and audiences there as well. Now, with our personal brand as well, something that can really be useful in order to kind of for us to kind of identify from the tip of our tongue, and tell people, oh, if someone asks you, oh, what's your business about, or what are you all about, when somebody meets you for the very first time, a really useful kind of exercise that we can go through is just to kind of pick a few words, just a handful of words, 3 to 5 words that really kind of describe your brand. And you can just kind of, you can see kind of there's a list here on screen, but there are obviously other words that you can use and attribute to your own kind of brand, because this is going to be very personal to you in general as well. And as I mentioned, this is going to be quite useful when you maybe sit down and create a piece of content as well. You want to make sure, is it in line with these 3 to 5 words that I selected, for instance, as well. Now, once we've got our goal and once we've got our audience all set up and kind of decided where we want to kind of create our presence, which kind of platforms that we want to be on in general, then the next step is to actually go ahead and create a presence. And we do that by, first of all, creating a handle. Now, a handle is not a door handle. In the digital world, a handle is typically a username, which I'm sure many of us are aware of. And I'm sure many of us have set up usernames on various platforms out there, especially social media. Now, when it comes to a handle, some general kind of best practices for creating a handle is you want to make sure that it's unique. And the best way of making sure that it's unique usually is by using your name. But you want to also make sure that your handle is easy to remember. So it could be a play on words perhaps as well. And you want to maybe avoid using numbers as well. Just kind of keep it just to like names and words perhaps as well. You can see that with an example here on screen. You've got Fatima Allen, who we looked at earlier on when we looked at her LinkedIn kind of intro that she had. But she's gone for the handle of @Fatima_Allen. She might have tried @Fatima Allen, but maybe that was taken. So she's gone a bit creative here and used a special character in an underscore just to separate her first and surname there. So once she's actually created her handle, we then look at Fatima's biography that she's created. So a profile biography, or as it's also known for short, a profile bio, is basically a summary of your brand, and it typically sits underneath your handle, or in LinkedIn typically it would just be your name, and then it would be your bio that would sit underneath that there as well. So let's actually deconstruct Fatima's bio here. So we've broken it down into kind of 3 sections. First of all, Fatima's going in with their offer. So she said, right, Fatima said, customer service manager from Manchester, interested in content marketing opportunities. Okay, great. So she's kind of setting her stall out saying, this is what I am, but this is what I'm interested in. These are the opportunities that I'm interested in. Now she's backing that up with expertise in terms of why she wants to work in this field, in terms of why she wants these sort of opportunities coming towards her, because she's saying, right, I'm an open university graduate in English literature, regular contributor to BuzzFeed and HuffPost community. So she's kind of she's actually highlighting her expertise in terms of what she has done and the various publications that she has contributed to there as well. And then she's very kind of short and succinctly rounded off her bio with something known as a call to action, which is a prompt for the person on the other end of the screen who's reading that bio to actually take a particular action and prompt them into action. So new ideas or opportunities, email, and then it's got Fatima's email address there as well. And that's a really useful kind of bio structure that you can use if you wish to do so for yourself. And if you wanted to kind of apply this to your business as well, you can do that as well. So one thing to kind of note with any content that we create on online, whether it be social media, whether it be our website, is we want to create a sense of consistency with our content, because consistency builds trust. So people like to know where they stand when it comes to visiting your profile, visiting and consuming your content in general as well. And that also stems from making sure that even little things like our profile photo aligns with our handle that we've created. So you can see some examples here on screen whereby you've got a couple examples where that _health_doctor and John_bread_maker, both of the images above those handles are fairly kind of reflective upon what that business is all about. However, the one in the middle doesn't really reflect that, because you've got a handle which says I love cakes_do you. By the way, I do. But above that handle, you've got somebody who's playing a guitar, which doesn't really relate whatsoever to cakes. Even if there was kind of a cake in the background while he was playing, that would make a little bit more sense perhaps as well. But there's no kind of hints that there is anything related to cakes within that photo there as well. So you want to make sure there's that your handle and your photo, and especially profile photo, but also generally your content, reflects your handle in general as well. And a good example of that is Sheena. So Sheena Maui, who we saw earlier on, the vegan London Instagrammer, blogger. She's got a relevant photo. She's got a relevant handle, so she's gone for Sheena_Maui, and then she's got content that reflects her offering, her product offering, her service offering, essentially, by being a food blogger in general as well. So it's kind of over to you when it comes to kind of creating your own bio. This is just kind of a little exercise. If you wish to kind of do this, you can kind of take it away, because I fully appreciate when it comes to sitting down and writing out your own biography, it can be something where you think, oh, I want to mention this, I want to mention that, and then it takes a bit of time just to sift through, maybe cut out some unnecessary words and just make it short and succinct as possible as well. So just kind of consider what skills and strengths and experiences do you want to lead with, and also think about what does the person on the other end of the screen want to hear about and learn about from you as well. And we want to make sure that we can maybe use some elements, if not all of that structure that we spoke about earlier on as well. So let's have a check-in with any questions at this stage. Okay, I can't see any question at this stage. But if there are any final questions, feel free to put them in the live chat as we move into the final part of this session, which is to increase our online visibility. So ways in which we can increase our online visibility include how do we actually increase the chance of people finding us on LinkedIn? One thing that we can do is to complete our profile. So add as much information onto LinkedIn as possible. We can request for people to send us recommendations, especially if they've worked with us in the past, or we've done some project work with them and they have been satisfied and they've seen your skill set for themselves as well. Then that's something you can request recommendations. People can endorse you for skills as well on LinkedIn, and that's another way of kind of building out your LinkedIn profile, as well as kind of linking through to other profiles of other people that you might have kind of worked with or interacted with in general as well. Now, other tips to grow your network include posting unique, high quality content. We want to make sure that people are interested in what we've got to say. So we want to take time to actually create something which is very much kind of quality over quantity in general as well. We want to connect with our audience. A really fantastic way just to connect with our audience is someone leaves a comment on your post, reply to it. You know, rather than just kind of like it, reply to it. It takes 2 seconds to do that, even if it's just a simple thank you or thank you, you know, with their name. It just kind of adds that personal touch. It adds that human touch to things as well. And that's another way of kind of getting people interested in you and invested in you a little bit more as well, whether it be from a business perspective, whether it be from an individual's perspective as well. Also be consistent with your posting and kind of interaction, engagement with your network as well, because you can see here it's post regularly as well. But when it comes to posting regularly, you don't want to prioritize quantity over quality, because we very much so, we want to make sure that our brand is all about high quality and unique content in general as well, which is going to be useful to our network that we are growing and building. I already mentioned kind of about commenting and liking, reacting, and to when people are interacting, engaging with our own posts, but also get involved with other people in your network, like and comment on and share their posts perhaps as well, and kind of share and kind of spread that love, because that's something which will naturally kind of come back to us as well. I'll mention a bit more about kind of being visual in just a moment or so as well. But there's a lot of fantastic networking tools to kind of connect out there as well, that you can kind of explore and kind of create presences on as well. Now you can also use your online network to source and find new job opportunities. So you can see, for example, here, how could this apply to a job seeker? So if you are a job seeker who is looking to work in a specific industry that you don't necessarily have that much experience in, or that much academic or education history in, but you've got enthusiasm, then you can actually start getting involved and start posting information, start posting content about that industry that you want to work in, but also interact with posts of other people who actually currently work in that industry as well, because you're showing your passion, you're showing your desire to work within that industry there as well. Now, a really surefire way of actually getting more attention to you and increasing that visibility on your brand is to create shareable content for your brand. And what I mean by shareable is, this is content where typically you might kind of see it appear in your family or your friend group chat, where somebody says, "Oh yeah, check out this YouTube video. Oh yeah, check out this article on LinkedIn, or look at this Instagram post. It's really funny." So you want to create shareable content, something that is going to resonate not only with you, but it's something that you think, "Oh yeah, my friend would love this. Let me ping the link onto them as well." And that's a great way of kind of spreading that attention out, so that other people are becoming invested in what you've got to say with pieces of content as well. Now, it's not always going to be the case where your content is something where people just think, "Oh yeah, I want to share that straight away." So you've got to kind of be willing to kind of experiment and try things out, and kind of being that kind of trial and error kind of mindset there as well, which is very important. Now, a really fantastic way of grabbing attention and grabbing visibility is to add imagery where possible. So you can see some of these kind of statistics here on screen. One of them is adding is images with your updates. You can see here's 100 having images with tweets typically leads to 150% increase in retweets. Similarly, you can also see that photos of people's faces on Instagram posts tends to lead to nearly 40% more likes as well. And you can also see, from kind of a video perspective, live broadcasted videos tend to get 3 times more views than traditional kind of pre-recorded videos that are kind of uploaded there as well. This is typically why you do tend to see a lot of YouTube channels nowadays. They do have a lot of kind of live videos as well that you can tune into. You can start commenting, a little bit like this. This webinar session is live, so we do have a live chat as well, but it's a live broadcasted video that we had today as well. So it's just kind of very much kind of food for thought there as well. Just kind of little tweaks and little adjustments that you can make when it comes to your content, and that can have very much kind of a lasting impact in terms of increasing that visibility for your brand. Now, what we can do is we can look to kind of develop a visual look and feel for our content that we create, especially on social media. So there might be certain kind of, let's say, for example, Instagram. There might be certain Instagram channels that you follow, whereby they have a certain filter that they use. So they might have used various kind of apps such as the likes of VSCO Cam, and actually use they use a specific filter for each one of their Instagram grid posts. So much so that if you were to see one of their posts pop up without their username appearing, then you might just think, oh yeah, that's that business, because they always use that kind of that filter. And that's what you want to try and create that kind of sense of familiarity, so people start resonating certain kind of elements, certain kind of looks and feels that you are creating, and people start to associate that with you in general as well. This is why you might also see a lot of kind of YouTubers as well. They have a certain way in which they create their videos, the way that they edit their videos as well, is done in a certain way and kind of format in general as well. So that's something, again, to consider, is to kind of create your own visual look and feel. This is something that can take time as well. You might kind of experiment different looks and feels and then settle upon something which you feel is correct for you, and more importantly, correct for your brand as well. Also, feel free to kind of try out interactive media, something which has been around in more kind of recent times, really, are things like polls. You'll see things like Twitter polls. You'll see polls that you can add to things like Instagram stories as well. And that's something which is really important just to be aware of, that this interactivity is something which can really get people interested, get people invested. You might have already also seen in the likes of kind of Instagram, you've got the functionality where you can have kind of ask me a question, or ask us a question about our new product, or ask us about our new service that we're rolling out perhaps as well. And also think about kind of maybe live streaming, depending on if you're if that kind of is in line with your brand and in line with your if you're kind of from a personal perspective, from a business perspective, whether that's in line with your product or service offering as well. We actually have a really useful webinar session that we run called Create Video for YouTube, which actually goes through kind of the steps of actually live streaming as well. So if that's of interest to you, be sure to kind of check out the next running session on that particular topic of Google Digital Garage webinars as well. So apart from that, it's kind of over to you in terms of think about, when it comes to your brand and kind of your visibility, think about what type of content appeals to your target audiences, because you all have kind of your own niche audiences. Because you might have heard of that kind of age-old kind of cliche, which is that if you create content for everyone, you end up creating content for no one. So there's going to be people that are going to be more attracted to your business offering or to you as an individual than others as well. So we want to make sure that we really lean into that there as well. Also think about what kind of messages do we want to get across and do we want to convey as part of our brand as well. And also think about what is going to be our kind of visual look and feel that we want to look to develop. And the key word there is develop, because we don't have to get there straight away. It's something that can be a process that takes a little bit of time as well. So let's actually have a roundup, see if there's any sort of final comments or questions. So Ramesh has asked, what's the process to identify my profound aim in a vast area like fitness, where inspiring exercise is the general aim and fulfillment is the actual one. There's some big niches over there that hold the same goal, but how do I really define very specific goal, and which would define my USP, so my unique selling point, and stand out from my competitors? That all comes down to you being you showcasing your authentic self, because I truly believe that when it comes to branding, you are you. There's no point trying to copy somebody else. Yeah, you can get food for thought in terms of, oh, let me start to record my fitness videos and record my exercise videos in a certain way with a certain visual look and feel. But you will develop your own uniqueness as time goes along, as you start putting out content. And sometimes we can get into our own head about, oh, I don't know whether to put this type of content out because I don't know if it's going to, if other competitors are already doing it, I might not get as many views for this video, for example. But the main thing is just to start more than anything else, rather than just be in our own heads as well. So that's kind of the advice that I would kind of give. I don't know if Tessa's got any other kind of sort of pointers in regards to that. But yeah, even in kind of more, as you mentioned, kind of a bit more kind of saturated industries as well, there is still room to showcase who you are. Which is very important. So thanks very much for that question there, Ramesa. So let's kind of round off this session just by looking at our next steps. And one of our next steps is to sign up for Google Mentoring. So if we work for a small business or a charity in the UK, you are able to sign up for Google Mentoring, and the link is there on screen. and definitely kind of check out the information on the website there as well. So I hope that you found this session useful. If you did, both myself and Tessa would appreciate a little bit of feedback. We've got a feedback link which is on screen there. Feel free to also check out the link in the video description box below to have a look at the Google Digital Garage website, sign up for more webinars, have a look at some of the online courses. Remember, it's the Fundamental of Digital Marketing course, which is the course that gives you the added bonus in that upon completion of the course, you will actually receive a certificate at no charge from Google, recognizing that you've completed that course as well. So definitely check out all of those resources when you do get a moment as well. And good luck with your own kind of personal branding journey going forward as well. So apart from that, I want to say a massive thank you to Tessa, who I'm sure agrees has been a wonderful chat moderator. Feel free to show your appreciation in the chat below for Tessa. And thank you all for tuning in to this Google Digital Garage webinar session. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.